Hey there, it's Darcy. Welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, I am an NYU student living in New York, and if you are not new here, then you probably are really interested in this video because I transferred to NYU about a year ago, no, exactly a year ago, and now I'm already talking about graduating, and you're all like probably like, what, how? So because I've basically been at NYU a year and I'm already getting ready to graduate, so I'm going to be graduating in a year and a half from NYU. So I really wanted to make this video. I'm just really worried. It's already giving me anxiety that I'm gonna jinx it somehow, because I guess it could still not happen, but I don't know how it would not happen at this point, because like I've already applied and like I have all the class requirements filled as long as I pass them all, so it's gonna happen. I just feel like it's too good to be true and something's gonna happen and mess it up. But as of now, I'm graduating this May after being at NYU a year and a half and graduating a year early for my last year, because technically I'm in my third year. So if you're interested as to how I'm doing all this, then this video is for you. I did a poll on my Instagram story, which I often will use to get requests and stuff, and I asked if you wanted to see a Q&A or how I'm graduating, and this was much more had much more yeses. Much more people selected this one. So follow me on Instagram if you don't already, because that is a good place where I will ask for input, because it's like very quick, because YouTube obviously like takes a lot more time. So it's a nice way to get instant feedback and requests and stuff from you all. So follow me on there if you don't already. So I've been planning on how I'm gonna make this video for a while now, just because like I've known this is in the works and it's been a constant evolution of like making sure it's gonna happen. So I have a few different things written down, although most of it I'm just gonna like kind of go off of what's happened. But yeah, then there's a few things I want to make sure to mention. So the reason I really wanted to make this video is to explain how I'm doing this, and I know a lot of you are interested in NYU and have financial concerns, which I completely understand, and so I'm doing this because I want to, but also because it's saving my parents a lot of money. So that's where I'm hoping this can maybe help some of you out if you're interested in going to NYU but can't afford to go here 4 years. It's like, well, here you go. So basically, I think I need to start way back in high school, because when I was in high school, I took a lot of AP classes, and I took the test really seriously. And at the time, I didn't really think that much about like what it meant for the future. I just thought like, oh, this will help me get into college, and it's just like what everyone else was doing. And I remember at the time thinking how expensive the tests were, because they were like $100 or $200, I don't remember exactly, and everyone always complained how expensive the tests were. But looking back, like $100 tests versus thousands and $1,000 worth of class, it pays off. So take those AP tests seriously, and also take ones that can fulfill requirements. I just took a lot, so that some of them happened to, but if you know where you want to go, like I guess you could plan out what classes you can take to fill those general requirements that they have. So basically that was my first smart decision. AP classes can actually make you graduate early, which I didn't really think that much about. People said that, but I didn't really believe them. And for a while I didn't really even care too. But so I had those in my back pocket for all of college, and I remember when I was a freshman I was told I could graduate early, but at that point I just like wasn't really thinking about it. I wasn't new in college. I was just like, whatever. So I started my freshman year at William & Mary. I took a lot of really interesting classes, classes that filled requirements, but also just like things I was interested in as I was figuring out what I wanted to study. And eventually I realized I needed to switch to NYU so I could also study journalism. I just like needed to switch. You can watch my other videos. I'm not really going to go into the whole transferring thing, but what you all need to know in terms of transferring is that I think a lot of people, like I definitely thought I was going to be behind because I transferred, but if you're smart about how you do it, that's not actually true, clearly. So here's like the nitty-gritty. Basically, you can transfer in up to 64 credits at NYU. I don't know how it is at other schools. My guess is it's similar, but I don't really know. And I had 47 credits from William & Mary because it is a similar level institution. They accepted all of my credits, but they're basically mostly elective credits, and then a few of them were applied for requirements. So I had those 47, and then because you can transfer in up to 64, I use APs, and my advisor and I were very particular of which APs we picked. and so we went and talked through it, and so we filled those remaining credits with APs that filled requirements. So because I could have just picked random ones, but we picked specifically ones that filled requirements, because NYU has a lot of general core requirements, and that's what would have gotten me, I think. And the fact that I was doing a whole major, because I'm a journalism sociology double, so I came in with several sociology credits, but I still had most of the major to do, and I had all of the journalism major to do, plus then the core requirements. So if I was doing all of those, even if I had the right credit numbers, I wouldn't have been able to graduate early. So basically, by being really selective about how I could fill requirements, that already set me up on a good path. And then basically I only have taken classes that fill requirements since I've come here, which, to be honest, I don't highly recommend, because it's made my experience not that great, because it's just like not super interesting. I mean, I love like my majors, I guess, well, sort of, and so like if you pick a major that you're interested in, then obviously the classes will be more interesting to you than others would be, but I haven't just been able to take random fun classes, which is kind of disappointing, but that's just kind of what you have to do, I guess, if you want to graduate early. So yeah, so basically because of how I transferred, I was a semester ahead then. So I transferred in mid-sophomore year, and I basically had the credits of a first semester junior instead of a second semester sophomore, if that makes sense. So then how I got that extra semester that I'm graduating a whole year early is I took summer classes last year. And so because you can transfer in 64 credits and you need 128 to graduate, basically you have to take 64, I think that's right, wait, 128. Yeah, so you have to take half of your credits for your degree at NYU, because you need 128 to graduate, and you can transfer in 64, so you need 64 on campus. So basically you can graduate from here with an NYU degree with 4 semesters worth at the school. And so the reason I am doing that in a year and a half instead of 2 years is because I took summer classes, and I took a semester's worth over the course of the summer. And I also don't really, I think summer classes are a good way to go, but by the end of 2018, I was very burnt out, and I think some of you saw that in December. So I don't highly recommend that, but if you do really want to be done sooner, it's a good way to go. Because that is kind of how I made it work. And I didn't just take random classes. Like I said, I planned out like everything I needed for my 2 majors, and also I doubled up last semester on a journalism class because they're supposed to be taken sequentially, and I wouldn't have been able to, it would have made, it just didn't make sense, because it was a lot more long than everything else I needed. Everything else I could just pack in. So they did let me double up last semester, which was very stressful, and again, I don't recommend, but in terms of financially, it just made more sense. It doesn't make more sense for me to stay an extra semester for just one journalism class or something. You could always do part-time or something, which I've talked about. If for some reason it doesn't work out, I could always do part-time next semester and just take 1 or 2 classes, that kind of thing. But okay, so that's kind of how all of that went. So in terms of the core, I basically use classes I've taken at William & Mary to fill that, and then I had to do 2 lab sciences, and I also had to do cultures and contexts, but everything else I filled or got exempt from, so I need to talk about that. So basically NYU has this general petition that you can use to that sounds bad, you can make a case for why you should be exempt from something, and just as a transfer you might have to do this in general, because there's a specific writing requirement, and there's a freshman seminar that you get out of, but they need to know you feel the writing college level requirement kind of thing. So that I just basically applied for an exemption for the writing requirement, submitting several papers I had written and my grades for them. That was pretty straightforward. I knew I was going to get that. What I wasn't sure I was going to get was getting out of the expressive cultures requirement, because that was one thing that in terms of credits I was going to be fine, but that requirement wasn't going to be filled. I didn't have time to fill it if I was graduating this May. And basically, if you don't know, I'm a cellist. I've studied music my whole life. I was just I shouldn't have to take this. I know everything about expressive cultures in terms of Western classical music. Why on earth would I need to take this? But NYU doesn't count performance classes for that, which is a whole other thing I have a problem with, but yeah, so basically I used my AP Music Theory credit from high school, which was a class I like regretted taking at one point because I was like, this is stupid, why? I don't need this, I have so many performance classes, whatever. But looking back, good job senior year, Darcy. Because it got me out of expressive cultures. So basically, usually they wouldn't let that fill the requirement. Like if you just come in, you can't just like apply it for that. My advisor said I could petition, and I'm a pretty good persuasive writer, I would say. At least got that going for me, if nothing else. So I looked at the expressive cultures description online, and I looked at some of like the course descriptions too of like specific courses that fill that requirement, and I made a case for myself explaining how my AP Music Theory class filled the same requirements and talked about the same things, and how I needed this exemption so I could graduate in May because I was a transfer. Didn't really tell them I was graduating early, but I just kind of like made a case for myself, and I was really surprised when I got it. So all these things just kept falling into place. I basically needed one really specific schedule this semester to get all the classes I needed, and I'm not in all the classes I want to be necessarily, but I'm in all the classes that I need to fill the requirement, if that makes sense. So I guess like if you're interested in coming to NYU, I would say transferring is actually a really smart decision because NYU is so expensive, and I hear from you guys all the time about how you're worried about the financial aspect of it, and so this is one way to do that. Go to a way cheaper school and then transfer in. Be really smart about what classes you take and how they can like transfer over if you are specifically interested in NYU or a similar institution, and then you can minimize your time here. But no, you do have to take 64 credits on campus, so that's basically 4 semesters worth. So but if you're smart and like plan, you can totally do it in 4 semesters and get that degree from NYU and have just have an NYU degree, but you didn't have to actually be here for a whole 4 years paying that expensive tuition for 4 years, because it's a lot. So basically transfer, summer classes, APs, just doing what you need to do, exemptions, that's kind of how I'm doing it, and I'm here for it. So wish me luck. That everything has fallen into place at this point, so like I think it will still work out and like just be good, smooth sailing. I honestly can't believe I'm at this point for so long. I thought NYU was gonna find some loophole and like make me not be able to graduate. That's why I didn't think the exemptions would work. I thought they would want another semester of tuition or something, but it worked out, and I feel like it's a sign from the universe that I'm supposed to graduate early because everything has just fallen into place. So if you have more questions for me, maybe I'll do a Q&A, because some people did want a Q&A between the 2 options of graduating early and Q&A video. So I think I will probably do that after this goes up, and then you can ask me any questions about like my plans after graduation or like how I feel about different things. I'm definitely going to make a lot more videos about finishing up my NYU experience and my final thoughts because I have a lot of them, but that is way too much for this video. So hopefully that explains how I'm doing all this and you're less confused, and if you want to replicate what I did, you should go for it because I feel like not enough people do this, and hopefully you can do it too if you want. So hope this helped you out, and definitely subscribe to my channel if you're not already because I make a lot of videos talking about stuff like this. So if you liked this video, definitely stick around and give it a thumbs up as well. So I will see you all in my next video, and have a good day. Alright, bye. Thousands and thousands of dollars worth of credit. Where was I going with that? I don't know what I was gonna say. Oh, I remember what I was gonna say. Okay.